So we're at 50. Nope, nope, heard this too much. Let's get started. Perfect. So if anyone else joins us in the middle, hopefully they can just follow through. And let's screen share. Hey guys, can you just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen?
How do I give a thumbs up?
No, with your hand, Jimmy. Just with your hand. Okay, perfect. So let's get started and present. Thank you all for coming. My name is Puya. I am the coordinator supervisor of LSRT, the London Student Relief Team. And this is our first general meeting. We're going to mainly be focusing on introducing all the divisions, what they do. We want you to be aware of other things that are happening within the organization, because sometimes it might feel like you're contributing to a portion of something, but you don't get to see the bigger picture. And today we're trying to address that. We'll also be addressing some other questions that you might have, such as why the charity group wasn't created, or what will happen to LSRD after COVID-19 pandemic, and other things about how you can contribute more and about the reserve volunteers. So to just start everything off, I want to acknowledge that a major part of our donations and grants are coming from Rising Youth, which is a program funded by the government of Canada, and they were nice enough to provide us with the money that we need to run many of our projects. So that's the first slide. Now, in terms of who we are, I have to moving this. In terms of who we are students. We're just like you. One day I was thinking, like, I'm at home. There's really not that much I can help with during the pandemic. And I thought, what can I do? And the first thing that came to my mind was starting to 3D print some mask straps. But then I thought, what if we can make this into a bigger organizations, tackling many of the problems that our community and the students in our community face. And that's how it started. We are devoted to the educational interest and welfare of all the post-secondary students and the people of London, and we're trying to make our community a better place. We can do this by running multiple small and large-scale projects, and that's why we need you guys. Just in terms of statistics, I didn't put this on the page, but we have 89, actually, we have 90 active volunteers and 70 reserve volunteers currently within LSRT, and they are doing fantastic work. I'm going to hand it over to Yassel.
Hey guys, so I'm Yassel and I'm the coordinator of the media division. So right before we get into the rest of the PowerPoint here, let's take a second to quickly, kind of support our media presence by going and liking both the Facebook page and our Instagram page. So there's a link over here, a shortened one, bit.do/LSRT. So just go there. It'll bring you right to the Facebook page. Give it a quick like. Head on over to Instagram if you have Instagram and give us a follow as well. And this is just going to help give us a better media presence so we can reach more people and keep you guys as well informed of what we're doing and stuff like that. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. We'll also post this, the link to this presentation, so you guys can follow the links after, or you can just do this after as well. But try to get it done now just so you don't forget. So yeah, take a couple seconds to go and do that, and then we'll get right back into the presentation. Thanks, guys.
Gonna play music?
I'm gonna play background music on my phone.
Sounds good.
Nobody can dance that well with this.
Just to follow up on what Yassel said, one of the main reasons that we're trying to increase the number of likes and the followers that we have on the social media is because so many times when we're reaching out to organizations to try and help them or partner up with them, they want to see that we are established and popular organization as opposed to like just a startup. We do have the numbers, and we do have so many enthusiastic people who are already part of the group. So if we can also represent that on social media, it would give us more power to reach out. So I'll give you one more minute and then we'll get going. Great. So we're just gonna go throughout the rest of our presentation now. We're going to start by introducing who we are. We haven't actually done that yet. And then we will break it down for you guys as to what's currently happening within LSRT, what each division does, what are some of their goals and projects. And after that, it will be the Q&A and answering some of your questions. So that will be the layout of the rest of the presentation. I'm gonna hand it over to Si Chang.
Hey guys, so I'm Si Chang. I'm one of the co-coordinators for the outreach division. So yeah, just to introduce a little bit about all the coordinators, we have Puya, as you're all well acquainted with, the head coordinator. We have Melvin and Ala as co-coordinators of peer support. Emily as coordinator of mental health. Ryan is the coordinator of information and guidance. Ala, once again, and Puya are co-coordinators of 3D printing. Jimmy is the coordinator of logistics. Yassel, as you've heard from already, is the coordinator of media. And myself and Kevin are co-coordinators of the outreach division.
Thank you. So that's our team. We're all students. So many of us are in the same major, but we all have a diverse set of projects and ideas that we want to implement, and that's how this group is here today. So now we'll break it down into specific divisions, and we'll try to get through these quickly. Let's start with.
All right. I guess I'm back. So yeah, so media, it's pretty straightforward. There are two main things that we work on. Number one is just content creation. So we get information and do research along with the information division and put together like little posts and infographics that kind of update people on like what we're doing in the organization, some general academic planning stuff, as well as some health and wellness information for, for people. And the second thing we do is obviously, as I kind of touched upon earlier, just like media presence stuff. So managing and moderating our Facebook and Instagram, as well as other social media profiles. And as well as just acting as like a liaison between LSRT and the general public. So answering questions on the Facebook page, for example, is something that we do. And this wouldn't be possible without our amazing committee here, composed of some amazing and very passionate people. So thanks to all you guys. And yeah, that's basically media. So we'll just pass it back to you, Puya.
Thank you, yes. Sorry, Emily?
Sorry, I was muted. Oh. So, hi, I'm Emily. I'm in charge of the mental health division, and our focus is really going to be on community outreach and having a social media presence, as well as was already said. I think one of the worst parts of quarantine is not having anything to do. So the committee has already come up with great ideas. Shout out to all of them. Their names are here, of how we can like engage people on social media and give them things they can like follow along with, which is why following the Instagram is super important. If you haven't already done that, please go do that. And yeah, and then on top of that, we would like to just do some outreach with senior citizens and along with healthcare workers. And yeah, that's pretty much mental health. If you have any ideas for cool things, feel free to shoot me a message, even if you're not in mental health. I'd love to hear from anyone. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you, Emily. Let's pass it on to Ryan. Ryan, can you talk so your picture shows up so I can tag you?
Hello, everyone.
Yes, okay. Here you go.
My name is Ryan, and I am the person coordinating the information and guidance division. So basically what we do is we collect information from all different sources provided by like UWO and like affiliated colleges like Brescia, King's, and Huron, as well as Fanshawe. And then we, so from their website and their resources, we documentize everything into one big document so that maybe if a student asks us a question, then we can just Control F it and look at the information right away. And that's what we do. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm going to pass it on to Si Chang and Kevin again. I'm just trying to find how to put both of them onto. Okay,
yeah, Kevin, you go ahead first.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Kevin. I'm one of the co-coordinators for the Outreach Division along with Si Chang, which he introduced himself already. I just want to give a quick shout out to my committee who's been working really hard the last 2 weeks to pull together 2 of our big projects. And first info, a little bit on the volunteer directory. So one of the projects the Outreach Division is working on is we want to reach out to all the student leaders in London, especially now that there's a lot of like new ones that sprouted out because of the COVID-19 outbreak. So we've been working hard with contacting them, letting them know, and having them send information about their own organization if they're recruiting volunteers and just some extra info. Our eventual goal is to compile all of that information together into a website platform for everyone to access. And luckily, we just recently got the Youth Rising grant to eventually host a volunteer directory as well as the LSRT main website. So I'm going to pass it off to Si Chang for the second project.
Alrighty, thank you, Kevin. So yeah, our second project is the face mask and ear saver distribution. So we're doing that in tandem with the directory. And yeah, so we've been fortunate enough to receive 1,600 face masks from the Bethune Medical Development Association of Canada. So basically, our committee is working very hard to contact all the London hospitals and businesses and assess their need for these masks, as well as LSRT's own 3D printed ear savers. So once we get that done, we find out all the replies that everyone has, then we're going to have the PPE distribution go through the logistics branch, and we will see from there, and hopefully we can make a big impact.
Thank you, Kevin and Si Chang. So we're at the 3D printing. I'm going to put myself in spotlight. Okay, so the 3D printing division of LSRT was really how this entire thing started. Me alongside with Allah are co-supervising it as of now, and our goals are to research and find the best mask straps or ear savers, as you can see over here. What they do basically, when people wear the N95 mask or the surgical mask for long periods of time, the back of their ear starts to hurt a lot, and because of that, many people take off the mask entirely. That poses a threat to them and people around them. We wanted to prevent that in both the essential workplaces and also at hospitals. Our solution, we have 3D printers. We're mass producing these mask straps, also known as ear savers, and later on we might expand into creating face shields. So we're trying to research as best as we can so we can find the best version to print. We basically adjust and redesign so many of the things that we find online. Shout out to our amazing committee with so much experience in AutoCAD and 3D printing software. Then we want to produce a lot of them. As of now, we already have produced 400 mask straps. And I can show you guys how it looks. They look like this, if you can see. And basically, we will be sanitizing these, storing them, and alongside the logistics department and the outreach department, we will be giving these out to the London community and essential services. I'm gonna hand it over to Allah for the second part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'd first like to start by thanking everyone who donated yesterday and before yesterday for our work that we've done in the protest. So we went out in the protest that recently happened in London, and we gave out some of our mask straps, because what better time to give them out than now? And of course, as you can see in the images, we were heavily involved, and we gave out masks and mask straps to a lot of people and families who came up there in this COVID hub without a mask. So I guess that all is thanks to you, whoever has donated and made this possible. I think that's pretty much it.
Sounds good. Yeah, so we will be taking on missions such as this in the future as well, and this is not limited to any one division. Any of the reserve volunteers or any volunteer from any of the other divisions are absolutely free to join us. So I'm gonna hand it back to Allah because Melvin cannot join us currently. So you can go ahead with the peer support division.
Yes, absolutely. So unfortunately, Melvin couldn't join us because of the time difference, but I'm here to cover for him. So the goal of the peer support is to create not only a guide and a training module in coordination with a few of our stakeholders to ensure that we are delivering emotional support for our peers, of course, in a legitimate manner, because such module or training doesn't exist. So we're at this point where we've identified a gap. We're trying to legitimize that gap by going out and getting data to ensure that people actually need the service. And that's, of course, one of our objectives. And then during the process, we have a talented team. Shout out to everyone. Names of committee are on the slide on the top. So the goal is to have their expertise pulled together, contact a few other stakeholders and important people to put together this training module, and of course, arm a chat service that's already well established with our partner Webstraw, who I will drop the link to our chat interface below so that you all can have a look, probably in a Zoom chat in a bit. But I think the point that I want to emphasize here is the guide that we're creating is going to be open access, and that's the culture we're trying to embrace. And what that means is, hopefully, if this guide is legitimate, other people who are doing similar things can also adopt it in training their volunteers or whoever they want for whatever they want to earn. So more on that later, and there's lots of details, but I think that's a brief rundown.
Thank you so much. As Allah mentioned, the partner organization, Webstra, already has a website set up, already has a chat system set up, and also all of these are anonymous. So if anyone wants to talk about anything on their mind, they can go at any time of the day to this website and anonymously start talking to someone. So, and we think that's very valuable. So that's for peer support division. Jimmy, logistics.
Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy. I am the coordinator for the logistics division of LSRT. I am very blessed by 12 very amazing individuals, and most of us are located in London. Most of us can also drive. Some of us will be traveling back and forth from London to the GTA, and that can actually be very advantageous to us, and you will see why in the upcoming slide. So our general task involves managing the PPEs that are donated by the Buffoon Medical Association. We are operating in Toronto. That's why from time to time we will need long distance transportation for people who are traveling back and forth from GTA to London. We'll obviously be managing and sanitizing the 3D printed products as well, and we'll be in contact with the local essential businesses and healthcare institutions, and directly deliver our products to them, which is why by familiarizing yourself with safe social distancing practices and also sanitization protocols is very important in this department. And as the 3D printing departments are wrapping up their first batch of mass strap production, and also as the hospitals and businesses are getting back to the outreach department, we're currently now looking at establishing a realistic budget for the kind of sanitation products that we'll need and all that. And that's it, and I'll give it back to Puya.
Thank you, Jimmy. So that's logistics division. Now, before I go to the next slide, now that you guys know what each division does, I want to give you the whole picture. So the 3D printing division looks in the community and sees what sort of PPE we can print. The outreach has been able to get all these masks. The mental health commissioners and division can create postcards. So those are three physical things we produce. We take these things, we give it to logistics. The logistics division sanitize them, packages them, and gets them ready to go to other places. Outreach then finds the places that these need to go. Media and information create posts about them and creates awareness about them. And peer support is a bit more independent, but is always running alongside. So that's how all the divisions are working together. And our direct goals are to help the community and help the students. So that is the general overview of how each division works together. Now, in terms of some of the questions that were commonly brought up that we want to address, we're going to start with why charity was not formed. Kevin, I'm going to hand it to you.
Oh, hey, thank you. So the reason why charity was not formed, we had initially had the idea of having a charity branch, like many of the other student initiatives around London. So where we would raise money, raise food, and then eventually donate it to different places. Unfortunately, when we were reviewing like the Google Form applications for the committees, there wasn't that much interest for charity. And because of all the competition already and all the already really established London student groups that already been working on charity, we decided to not open a charity branch, instead focus on our other branches and do things that we do already know and do it well. So yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. So yeah, so charity division was unfortunately not formed. It does not mean that it's closed forever. We might open it up at a later time. Okay, this is a very boring slide. I apologize in advance, but these are the other common questions that were asked. So I'll let you take the first one.
Hi, it's me again. So I guess the big question here is, so we've supported people during COVID and during this rough time. What's next? And in addition to that, what's our timeline for doing so? Because things move quickly, and if we don't act fast, we might just miss the train. For this, a lot of the timelines that you'll notice within your committees, they're short, working quickly to ensure that you get things that you need to get done. But once we've done all this, I think the idea behind creating LSRT is putting this talent that you have into one place, and then seeing the utility of that talent to support the cause. So once COVID is done, I don't see harm in continuing our projects to facilitate and advocate for things that are beyond COVID, that we can possibly utilize some of the talents that we have. And so I guess the general idea here is your contribution to this is valuable to us, and we want to make it long-term, in which we can get involved in a lot of other avenues. So if you have thoughts or ideas as to how and where we can take this after COVID or after the pandemic, and what issues can we address, we're more than happy. We'll be more than happy to take him on and consider making this group larger and more effective in these aspects and regards.
Sounds good. Thank you. The other question that was brought up, so at the beginning of the organization, I did mention that we are trying to acquire some volunteer certificates to give to you, or some sort of award. So based on what I found online and what other organizations do, we will be giving you individual certificates outlining that you have participated in the organization. If you want, we can also write detail of how you've contributed to your community during COVID. Now, the government of Canada does have some sort of a grant for people who've volunteered a portion of their time during COVID-19 to help the community. We are unsure how that's going to work out, but having this certificate and having the possibility to have us as a reference for other people to contact us, that gives you the opportunity to possibly get that grant. And of course, this is something very valuable on your resume or CVs, because it shows that you care, it represents your skills and your compassion for your community. So that's what will be happening with volunteer certificates. They will be given out probably at the end of the summer, but since LSRT will go on beyond summer, we can keep updating them, and you can always request us to send you a volunteer certificate. We can indicate a number of hours on that, and hopefully that will be of some use to you. I'll also take care of the next point, which is what happens to the reserve volunteers. So we currently do have about 70 reserve volunteers, and some of you might in the chat might currently be one of the reserve volunteers. So just to clarify, they are still 100% part of the organization, and they are helping in their own way. If divisions cannot, if divisions need some extra help with a certain part of their project or with the initiative, we directly call upon the reserve volunteers. If there's a new project, a new division that's being produced, the reserve volunteers will have the opportunity to apply and create a new team. And last but not least, if anyone from the LSRT has an idea of how we can expand our volunteer organization, how we can contribute more to the community, as long as it fits within our guidelines and values, we can definitely start that project. We can start that project. We can help you get through the process of receiving a grant, get your money, and we'll help you throughout the entire project and creating a division. In that case as well, reserve volunteers will be called upon to either join, help, or create a new division. For the last point, I'm going to hand it to Yasso. Yasso, are you with us?
Hey, Yasso, you're muted.
He's muted.
Talking, but we can't hear you.
There we go. Here, can you guys hear me now? Should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So as I just said to myself, how can you guys help through just your general work with the divisions and as on the reserve team? So one thing you can do is donate. So thank you guys who have already donated. You guys can send things through e-transfer over to this email over here, and we really appreciate any funds to help us keep funding our projects. So thanks for that. Another thing you can do is just reach out to people, get the word out. So share posts with your friends, tell your friends and family to like the pages and our profiles online. And finally, if the pandemic does go away, hopefully soon, we are going to be planning a lot of physical volunteering events. So stuff at places like ArcAid, Project Hope, Reforest London. So a lot of these charity and volunteer organization kind of stuff in London. So be ready for those as well. And yeah, so that's it for this.
Thank you, Yasso.
No problem.
Emily?
All right, it is question time. Maybe you can stop screen sharing if there's nothing past this so we can see people. Awesome. Okay, let's not spotlight me because then we can't see people. And that's what we want, right?
There you go.
All right. So if you have any question, just start talking. Yeah, that's how we're gonna do this.
You can raise your hand, and then Emily will call out if anyone has a question.
Okay. I don't see it. Yes. I definitely cannot pronounce your name. I'm so sorry.
Just call me Safa. Hey everyone. I was wondering, in terms of getting materials like disinfectants, have we contacted Western labs, like research labs who have, suppliers that have access to ethanol and other, disinfectants that we can use?
Can I cut in on that quick? Or?
Yeah,
I can. I was
sorry,
gonna just answer I work at Robarts, and it is hard enough for labs ourselves to get any type of materials right now. So I don't know if that would be the greatest way to go through it, especially with hand sanitizers and that type of stuff, just because they're also building up a stockpile to basically put everywhere in libraries and that type of stuff in the fall. So I think Western's gonna be very protective of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Thank you for that input.
Sounds good.
Just wanted to chime in actually. I was wondering if we were considering contacting chemical companies for those bulk chemicals, because I know that a very common disinfectant we use is 7% hydrogen peroxide, which should be pretty easy to get, I think, for a chemical company. So I was wondering if we were ever considering talking to maybe 3M or Sigma Aldrich or something like that.
I can speak a bit on the sanitizing process. So there are fixed protocol out there already about how best to approach sanitation, and as you mentioned, something like hydrogen peroxide is one of the examples. One thing that we do want to keep in mind is that our logistics division and perhaps in the future the reserve volunteers who will be helping with the sanitizing process, we don't want to give them something that can harm them. So we rather have like a safer alternative. As of now, just for a very brief overview of what we might do, for our physical, for our 3D prints, we are probably going to use a combination of soap and water, then ethanol, and then if possible, most of the things that we will be shipping out, either the package itself or the item inside, will be treated with UVC and ozone. So we already have that technology available to us. We actually created something that can effectively do that, but we can definitely look into more sanitation procedures and new material. Just to also touch on the previous question, we are looking for ethanol. We have gotten in contact with the Dental Society of Canada, who for some reason have a large stockpile of ethanol. But we're always welcome to suggestions from you. If you do see some of our commonly used sanitizers online that is within reasonable price, we would really appreciate it if you guys can let us know. And we can for sure reach out to companies that do this on a daily basis or produce this. So I'll let you guys know how that goes after that.
All right. Any other questions? Again, just kind of wave. I have to flip through all the videos. Sonia?
Yeah, that's right, Sonia. I just wanted to ask with regards to the Webstra website, the link that you all just put up. So when it asks you for your support and it asks you whether you want the COVID-19 support chat or you want the Webstra academic support chat, is there like a significant difference in terms of like, okay, like the Webstra academic is specific to academic, but what would like, if we were to explain this to somebody else, what would we say what's under the COVID-19 support chat?
So that's a really good question. I think the idea here that I also want to bring up is you're always given the option to tick both of them. Now, the only reason why we have them a little split is because Webstra's initial service is one that provides support for academic aspects of things. And since we're creating this personalized COVID emotional support, I think the fine line between them is a little ambiguous because you can use both. But I think the major point here is for the COVID support, it's more emotional. It's less academically focused. It's just someone to talk to beyond that. So if you don't have any specific academic inquiries or kind of problems, that's where you would be fitted to. And the other thing why we already have them as split, is because some of our members who come into the academic support are reoccurring, so we don't want to, tilt or shift that balance. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but the general idea is you could go for both. But under the COVID support, it's going to be a little less academic heavy. As a volunteer who's there, you're going to be expecting to deal with things that are on the spectrum of, someone who just needs someone else to talk to, and that kind of, I guess, it.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Wave for a bit. I don't see anyone waving. I think we're good. If not,
does anyone have any like project ideas or like maybe something you want to build upon potentially? Not there.
Sonia?
So
But
now's the
Yeah, so I briefly, it kind of came up in conversation with Kevin earlier, was with regards to, again, like the academic support stress chat, like the Webstra website, because it's peer support, and more recently with all the rest of the COVID, like because of COVID-19, so many student projects have kind of established little organizations. So I was thinking of, like, I was still trying to understand logistics. I have a couple of friends that kind of run these organizations. I would just like throw out names like Project Snapshot, Lead Canada is one of them. They all have the same purpose, but they all are run by different people. So if we had some sort of collaboration with our like peer support and them, I'm not sure how it would work, but then that was just one of the project ideas. And I guess that would also link with the mental health division, Emily, just because the Webstra website kind of does have the emotional support as well, and they do the exact same thing. So that's one of the things.
yeah, there's a lot of overlap between like peer support and mental health. So we'll definitely be collabing at some point once all the projects have like once all the projects are just more defined.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's a
just
good,
wanna
good. Oh,
quickly
go ahead.
talk a little about that. Yeah, sorry about that. I think when it comes to collaboration, it's not the matter of whether we're going to do it or not. It's the matter of when, whether you're ready or not, because you never should burn down bridges. Or if you see someone doing something similar, reach out to them after consulting with your team, of course, to see if they're ready to facilitate something like this. You mentioned some good names there, like Project Snapshot and a few other things. Project Snapshot is already partnered with Upstra, so we did do our fair share of connecting with others. So, make sure you meet ends at the end if you decide to reach to anyone to see whether they've already been contacted or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, for sure. So our outreach division, while compiling the volunteer directory, I've asked our committee members to really like get to know the student leaders for each of these projects when you're like pitching the outreach directory towards them. And we're definitely looking for future collaborative projects, eventually networking with them, and then maybe using like LSRT's reserve volunteers to help support their cause as well. But so far, we've only had some like very low-level collaboration projects where they're not even sure how exactly LSRT can help them. They're just like, oh, I just want more people, more volunteers. I'm like, okay, no problem, just like the directory, right? So yeah. But if any of you guys have like any friends of student organizations potentially where you think you could perhaps set up a collab with LSRT, definitely reach out to me or Puya to see if we can set something like that up.
Thank you, Kevin. I just noticed for people who are joining us via call or don't have their video on, feel free to just speak up because we can't see you to call your name out if you have any questions.
I think we're good for questions. I don't see anyone waving.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. So that's sorry, did I go ahead? Did I?
Oh, I was just stating the obvious, and you were like, "Thank you." I'm like, that sounded very sarcastic. That's just me.
Oh no, I'm trying to act professional, but okay. So that is the end of our meeting, and yeah, we tried to go over any questions that you might have. All of our social media streams are always open. You can always message us. You can message us if you have an idea that you might think would be good for LSRT. You can message us if you have any issues, feedback, concerns about what we do, how we do things. We are always open to your suggestions. And hopefully we can continue to making great change. We are one of the largest organizations and one of the most funded thanks to the rising youth. So we do have some organizational power, and hopefully we can reach out to Western faculties or like somehow get directly affiliated with Western and like the affiliated colleges, and we can take it from there. So that is the end of the meeting. Feel free to go. Once again, thank you so much for coming. It's so nice to see all of your faces, and those who couldn't join us with the video, that's completely fine. Feel free to stay for a few minutes after if you want to ask us the question that might be a bit more private. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day